What's going on, Nerd Squad, and welcome back to Top 10 Nerd. I'm your host for today, Taylor McWatters, and guys, on today's list, we'll be diving in and taking a look at some pregnancies that have happened in the Marvel Universe. Now, these comics are pretty dated, so they aren't exactly tackled in the most appropriate ways sometimes. That being said, superheroes giving birth can also be a beautiful thing. So here are the top 10 Marvel superheroes who got pregnant. Let's do it. Kicking off the list at number 10. Miss Marvel. So back in the 80s, Marvel had this storyline where Miss Marvel got pregnant from Marcus Immortus. Now, it wasn't a fan favorite by any means because this wasn't a consensual relationship. And when Carol was going through this pregnancy, the Avengers were just like, hey, congrats, we're not gonna ask any questions, go team. Yeah, this is a horrible event in comics in every way. So in Avengers 197, the issue has right on the front cover, Miss Marvel's shocking surprise. And then after her and Wanda have a heart-to-heart about Wanda wanting to have kids, Carol suddenly gets really sick, and in the last few pages of that issue, it's revealed she's somehow pregnant, 3 months pregnant. Then the next day, 6 months pregnant. So something's going on. Even the doctor is like, well, I have no idea why she's so upset. Nausea and fainting are common symptoms while being pregnant. Like, thanks doc, way to use your ears about the whole situation that I just explained. Good work. And then in Avengers issue 200, her teammates are just as useless and awful about the whole situation yet again. Even Cap acknowledges that Carol insists that she doesn't know who the father is and that there's no way that there even is a father in the first place. Yet the team continues to act normal. They're like, ooh, did I miss it? Oh, he's so cute. Just the worst, the absolute worst. Especially because this happens right after Wanda explains herself wanting children. Like, this whole act of mental and bodily violation is a good thing. So what happened after? Well, as the child grows rapidly, the team acts like she's being the odd one here, but she's just trying to cope with this trauma. So when she goes to visit her son, his name is Marcus and he's already a full-grown adult. So before this, Marcus was trapped in limbo, and in order to get out, he used Carol to give birth to himself so he can finally be free. So after they transport her back to her reality, she gives birth to him, and then he grows up rapidly, goes against the Avengers, loses, and then gets banished back into limbo. Chris Claremont tried to retcon this horrible story with Avengers Annual Issue 10, where it's treated as an act of violation rather than a superhero miracle. And before we continue on with this list, guys, if you could go ahead and give this video a thumbs up, because it really does wonders for our channel. You guys are the best. Thank you so much. Now back to some more pregnancies. Number 9, Susan Storm. Better known as the Invisible Woman, Susan Storm made her debut in comics in Fantastic Four issue 1 back in 1961. So in Fantastic Four Annual issue 3, we see the wedding with her and Reed Richards, aka Mr. Fantastic, aka Stretchy Boy, and shortly after, a pregnancy was in the picture. So when Sue was pregnant, Crystal of the Inhumans came and took her spot on the team. When the child was on the way, they had to travel to the negative zone and then borrow the cosmic control rod of Annihilus. So not your average C-section this time around. And then out pops Franklin Richards. See, Franklin is quoted from Galactus himself as the most powerful mutant ever. He is a mutant beyond Omega power, he was a member of Gen X, and he's also a future X-Men member in the Ultimate X-Men comics. Some of his powers include vast reality warping, psionic powers, precognitive powers, so his dreams tip him off on what's going to happen in real life. He's just a splendid human being. He can see the future in his dreams also, and he can resurrect the dead, time travel, teleport, astral project, and he can duplicate planets and or people. So not too shabby at all. Number 8, Wanda Maximoff. One of the biggest turning points for Wanda in the MCU is of course during the events of WandaVision, which we all watched, right? Just like the comics, Wanda gives birth to 2 twins, Billy and Tommy. Now, as we saw in the show, these kids were created using Wanda's magic. Now, the loss of her sons is what caused the events of House of M to unfold. And with Wanda reading up on chaos magic with the Book of the Damned at the end of WandaVision, we can assume something similar is going to happen on screen in some way. So Billy, aka Wiccan, gained the abilities of magic just like his mother, and Tommy, aka Speed, has, well, super speed, which you probably could have guessed. Just like Wanda's brother, Pietro, aka Quicksilver, aka Ralphie B. So I hope we see more of these super kids in the show because they were so fun to watch. They can't be gone, I refuse to admit it. Nor Quicksilver. Number 7, Khara Old Strong. He was born to the shadow people of Sakaar, and she was one of the few members of her race that had something called old power. My Uncle Scott also has old power, just raw strength, you know? I shake his hand and I can just feel my knuckles moving around like marbles. But no, this old power is much, much stronger. Sorry, Uncle Scott. See, originally she was saved by the Red King. Well, rather, the Red King stood by and let her village get infected in order to find a shadow with the old power. And it worked, and he found Khara, imprisoned her, and then he made her his bodyguard. So when the Hulk came around, she was in charge of watching over him during his training. So eventually the two teamed up, took down the Red King, Hulk became the new king of Sakaar, and he even chose Khara as his wife, instead of her being, a bodyguard and all. And then it didn't take long for her to inform Hulk about a child, a baby. Meet Scar. He made his debut in World War Hulk issue 5 after the Hulk had left the planet. Scar had popped out of a cocoon and he resembled a teenager after just 1 year. Boy's drinking his milk. Oh, they grew up so fast. Now, given the fact that he was born on a not so chill planet, he learned to fight to survive. Scar retains the old power as well, so he has the ability to control tectonic energy, so he can summon lava and also tap into energy projection. Number 6, Jessica Jones. It all started 15 years ago. Jessica Jones was attending Midtown High, where she actually shared a few classes with Peter Parker. She actually had a crush on him at one point, but I mean, hey, who didn't? Her father had tickets from Tony Stark, and those tickets were for a family trip to Disney World. On the way home, the family was in a car accident where Jessica was exposed to chemicals and then laid in a coma for months. She was also tragically the only survivor. The chemicals gave her superpowers like strength and durability, and then she began a career as a detective and met Luke Cage at his bar, and the two hit it off. In Alias issue 28, Luke Cage approaches Jessica and he tells her that he has feelings for her, that he's been thinking about her quite a bit actually, more than he was willing to admit himself. Then she responds with, "I'm pregnant," and Luke Cage is indeed the father. So he gives a big smile and says, "Alright then, new chapter." So meet Danny Cage. She is adorable and she has a pretty cool nanny as well, that nanny being Squirrel Girl. Number 5, Jessica Drew, aka Spider-Woman. She made her first debut in Marvel Spotlight issue 32, and in volume 6 issue 5, Jessica got pregnant through an artificial insemination. And here's the best part, she still fought crime. In a way. She used Ben Urich and the Porcupine to help her investigations while she worked out the #MomLife. So Jerry, her son, was actually born during a Skrull invasion from a hospital in a black hole. I was born in Ajax. Just as cool. Talk about a super birth. So we had the powers too, of course, which are super speed, super strength, the whole package from Jessica. And then Jessica kicked the Skrull's ass while she was waiting to give birth. It's so amazing. So after she had returned, she was finding it difficult to return to the superhero life. All she could think about was little Jerry. So she figured the best thing to do would just be to teach him how to be a hero himself. Number 4, Kitty Pryde. This one is pretty wild, okay? So during Wolverine and the X-Men issue 4, Kitty is shocked at the fact that she is 8 months pregnant, just out of the blue. Well, she thought she was pregnant, really. What actually happened was that her uterus had contained these brood drones that were attacking her from inside her body. So the X-Men fought back Magic School Bus style and shrank down really small to get a closer look. I would have been Arnold in that situation. I knew I should have stayed home. Boo, Miss Frizzle, I have a tummy ache. It looks far too intense. They're like near the brain too. I want to poke it. I would not want to touch anything brain-like in my life. Yeah, that sounds kind of serial killerish. Now at this time, Kitty was the headmistress of the Jean Grey school, and while they were fighting in there, Kitty had to fight off adult brood in real life while they invaded the school. But fear not, as Kitty was injected with Centaurian penicillin after the battle was over in order to get rid of the internal remaining brood problems she had going on. Number 3, Wolfbane. Rain Sinclair made her first appearance in Marvel graphic novel issue 4 back in the early 80s. So after Wolfbane joined the X-Force, she was taken and brainwashed by the Purifiers. Then she met up with former lover Prince Ramari in X-Force volume 3 issue 17, and they really reunited when they slept together. And then they were attacked by frost giants, and after the fight, Wolfbane lost consciousness, but before so, she called out to Elixir. Ramari rushed her back to Angel's Eyrie, where they met Archangel and Warpath, and then they all went to the X-Men base Utopia. Things weren't so smooth over there as well, as it was being attacked by Celine's undead mutants, and Elixir was in a coma after time traveling. So it's not looking too good of a scenario. Wolfbane wasn't doing well health-wise still, so Ramari called Hela the goddess of death. So she has a deal to offer, a soul for a soul. Which life to save? That's the question. So Ramari didn't choose the unborn child, nor Wolfsbane, but rather he chose Elixir, knowing that Elixir could save them both. When Rain left the X-Men, she intended on rejoining X-Factor when she rediscovered her ex, Richter, in a relationship with Shatterstar. So she told Richter that the baby was his, but then after Dr. Castillo saw they couldn't even examine the embryo with an ultrasound because it couldn't penetrate Wolfsbane's body, it was clear that Elixir had enhanced her body to ensure the safety of the Asgardian embryo inside, so this clued him in and he realized it is in fact Ramhari's child. Plot twist. Number 2, Tigra. Greer Grant got pregnant during the Secret Invasion storyline, but she had believed that she was in a relationship with Yellow Jacket, but near the climax of the Skrull invasion, she found out it was not the true Hank Pym that she was involved with. It was in fact a Skrull. His Skrull replacement, Creedy Knoll, was the father, and then this resulted in Tigra being a target of Norman Osborn's, who just wanted the child for himself. So it's all bad at this point. The baby was born and it seemed healthy. I mean, it was covered in fur and all, but that's not the crazy part of this scenario, weirdly. Hank Pym was convinced that the child was his and he wanted to raise it, but Tigra wanted her child to be raised by the Society of Cat People, because anything is better than Norman Osborn in this case. Number 1, Quasar. This last one is quite memorable, so here we go. So Aisha wanted to have children, but the father had to be genetically perfect. Set that bar nice and high, we love it. Somebody like Adam Warlock, for example, but he rejected the idea, so her next move was to see who was worthy. So she implanted other heroes with reproductive pods to see how they would do. And one of those hosts was Quasar. He's actually the only one that embraces it. He actually tries not to remove the pod, and he ends up fighting alongside Aisha whilst pregnant against Moondragon and Jack of Hearts, so Aisha removed the pod afterwards. What a test. Well guys, there you have it. Those are just 10 pregnancies in the Marvel Universe. Some good, some bad, some that should never have happened in the first place. But guys, let us know your comments down below with all your thoughts. I've been your host, Taylor McWatters. You've been you. Keep being you. Thanks for watching Top 10 Nerd, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.